Wave me if you're here. Thank you. So, thank you for coming here. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Today we will talk, and my speech will be, and my talk will be about the synthesis of modern quality criteria for the Android applications. So I will start with my self-introduction. My name is Ivan Alyakskin. The last name is unpronounceable even in Russian, so I don't know what is the roots of my last name. So, yep. Right now, I'm working as a lead engineer at EPAM Systems. I have an experience as a trainer giving software trainings related to the web applications, to the mobile applications development, to the processes, and etc. Sometimes I work as a manager, playing management role. So I have a lot of experience in software development, about 10 plus years, and I started my career as embedded engineer and then switched to the mobile and cloud services and sometimes delivery management. So I'm trying, and I see the problems from a lot of viewpoints. So that speech will be about the quality criteria with different viewpoints from the management, from the development, and quality assurance engineers. In case if you want to friend me at LinkedIn, here is the link. You're warmly welcome. So I think that we can start. So the agenda is, firstly, we will talk about the premises and high-level problems overview. Then we will talk about what is the quality. Then we will discuss something about the problems and possible solutions for them. And finally, we will synthesize the quality criteria for the Android project. So it will be some kind of a hint and secret weapon for you to improve your mobile project quality starting from today or tomorrow or Monday, as you want. So let's start. So why it's necessary care about the quality? It's necessary care about the quality because of our business. They are sponsor of our families. We are going to the work. They pay us salary, and to make our employers happy, it's necessary to solve their issues. The main issues, according to the current situation at the market and in industry, is one of the most important things is the slow time to market. Another thing is that we have a lot of issues on production. From project to project anyway, guys, I bet you are fixing bugs and you're reporting bugs if you're a quality assurance engineers, and if you are managers, you're tracking the issues. So another thing is that our applications sometimes have a really slow performance, and it makes users sad and they stop using that applications, and that means that less of sales for the business. So another thing is that we don't have so much and enough analytics about our current user base and current application. So that list is list of, I think, one of most important problems from the business perspective. So as a summary, it's possible to say that it's not the best quality. Sometimes at some projects we face with the issue that it's necessary to improve our quality. So how we can do that? Probably we can do it with something like quality criteria. Quality criteria, how do you think, what is that? Any options? Open microphone, anyone? All right, I give you an option. It might be amount of the bugs we are okay in a production. It's a bad quality criteria. I understand that sometimes it is, but no, this is not the best thing. So I found an explanation what is the quality criteria, and it says that quality criteria is something what we can really measure and say that we fit that value or we do not fit that value. Let's move on. Sun Tzu, in his book, The Art of War, said that if you know your enemy and you know yourself, it will be really easy to fight against the enemy and to win the battles. So when we're fighting for the quality, it might be something like that. A little bit later, Green Day reproduced the same idea, and they said they made a song, Know the Enemy. And after that, I decided to create an axiom, quality axiom, Know the Enemy, and I named that axiom Green Day Alakskin axiom. So let's start and talk about the typical problems from the manager or quality assurance engineer. How does it look like? Sometimes our developers answer us that it's because of old device. So you are facing with some really strange issue and developers are just saying, you know, it's just some Xiaomi device and I don't know how to fix it. Yeah, something like that. Or, oh, it's necessary to improve the performance, but it will take a lot of time. Yeah, this is another option. Or that issue is only at that strange and particular device, so maybe we will not spend a lot of time to fix that. Maybe, who knows? Another thing is that, seems we can't roll back change. It is the magic moment when you are making a release into the Google Play and you don't have an option to roll it back because of when you make a delivery, that build appears at the device and it's really hard to roll back without new build. Another thing is that, do people use German lokal? Wirklich? Wirklich means in German seriously. So sometimes people go to the United States. Everyone speaks English here, yes, of course, but sometimes people are using their native language. And it's actually a third-party issue. It's not mine, so we will not fix, or just let's escalate that issue to our vendor or something like that. Or another thing which I faced latest 4 years, and I was really, really surprised at different projects, but we were fixing that as a consulting company, that sometimes some developers are saying something like, hey, it seems the server team rolled out new release. Probably that issue is because of the new release at the server. Or another and really interesting thing, which I really love because I'm working in Android development about 8 years, it's the reasoning that it's Android, you know, so we have an issue with that because of the Android. Yes, but no. So let's move on. Oh, yeah, another thing is that we need just refactor. Yeah, I think that the latest one is my favorite. We need just refactor everything and rewrite it from scratch. Every developer loves it. Just refactor and develop something from the scratch. So let's start with the first reasoning. It's because of old and slow device. How we can deal with that reasoning and make our developers do not argue with such argument? We just can go and buy the most cheapest device at the market, some device with resolution 320 to 240, and ask developers to use it every day and make that phone favorite one. So when I was developing a lot of software for application with millions of the users, the device which I was using was the smallest one. It was really bad, but I really liked because of a lot of issues appeared at that device. Another thing is that it's necessary to optimize your resources. So you as a manager or you as a quality assurance engineer, you can go to your developer and say, hey, we're using some images in our project. Let's see, are they optimal? Do we have a small versions of the images for every device or not? Because if we have a really large images, that means that our CPU will spend a lot of time to downscale that image. Or, I don't know, maybe we are just having a lot of images which are not used in our projects. Or we are not using vector drawables. something like that. There are a lot of instruments integrated into the Android Studio and tools available on the internet. If you will be interested in, I will answer you the question and provide some links after my talk. Another thing is that sometimes when something is really slow, that means that probably we are inside of our code base, inside of a project, we are creating a lot of objects. How we can eliminate it? We can start using the dependency injection frameworks. It's a little bit painful. Developers from the beginning sometimes don't like it, but it's a really good thing. Another thing is that it's possible to replace RxJava with coroutines. There is a bunch of articles available on the internet saying that when you are starting to use the coroutines, you are saving a lot of memory and you don't force your system to create and delete objects because of every callback in the RxJava is an object which consumes the memory, so we can eliminate it. And another thing which I really, really like is that it's necessary enable Leak Canary. Leak Canary is the, not framework, but maybe library, is a tool which is possible to insert inside of your Android project and track memory leaks. Sometimes you can not see the memory leak because of it's not really big. But anyway, if you have a memory leak, that means that your available RAM is smaller. And that means that your garbage collector will work more and more. So to identify such problems, it's better for you to enable Leak Canary, at least for debug builds, to let your quality assurance team to see the memory leaks. If they are not dramatical, anyway, it is additional work for your garbage collector. Another thing is that during the pre-commit test procedure, it's possible to use Android tools available at the device, and even quality assurance engineer or product manager, when he just inspects and validates the feature developed, it's possible to open the developer's options and enable the layout bounds, the overdraw, and some statistics at the screen. It is, maybe it is obvious, but you know, when you are identifying your enemy, when you identifying your bad thing that you have a smaller performance with new builds, you can go to the developer and fix that issue ASAP, or just plan it, or just know that we raised the risk if there was a risk related to the performance. It's a good technique. Let's proceed straight. So, it's necessary to improve performance. It's a lot of work. How it is possible to eliminate such kind of reasoning from the developers? The first thing is that you should have a culture of async-ready application in your team. So everything in your application should be async-ready. That means that even application start should go in a sync way. It will mean that probably it will work a little bit, but not a little bit. No, it will not work slower, but you will receive the callbacks in an asynchronous way. It will not be so obvious how the synchronous code works, but it will give you the full understanding and full trust that everything works asynchronously and you don't have a lot of delays. Because of sometimes in big and legacy projects, I saw how a lot of managers were starting in the application on create callback, and it was consuming a lot of time. So when we were shrinking it out, it was challenging because of a huge amount of the code was written there. So it's better to make everything to be asynchronous. It's possible to use coroutines. Yes, it's debatable because of RxJava gives you a lot of benefits, not only related to the trading, but to the streaming and etc. But in some places, it's possible to use coroutines. Sometimes I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I really like to monitor heap usage. To monitor heap usage, it's really easy to do with some tools. You should not be a developer. You just can click several buttons and see graphics that your heap works good or not. Another thing is that it's possible to enable built-in features to monitor performance. They are available in the developer options. It's not a big deal. I'm not talking about the special traces inside of your code. I'm just talking about the already available buttons inside of your application, inside of your Android in the developer settings. Another and my favorite thing with performance optimization, sometimes it's possible to move some logic into the separate process. In Android, every component declared in the Android manifest might be moved to the separate process. Service, broadcast receiver, content provider. It will give for your application ability to save your memory, to save your RAM for the UI-related stuff, but do not share the same CPU time and the same RAM for the background and network layer and user interface and user animations. Because of anyway, every process receives a limited time slot to perform all his operations. And you will not make a concurrency between threads related to the UI task when you need to parse something in the UI layer and go to the internet just for the backgrounding. So just divide your application into the separate processes if it's needed. Let's move on. I really like it, and that thing might be implemented really, really easy. And oh my God, sorry. Even in 15 minutes, it's possible to enable strict mode. Strict mode will help you to identify issues which will appear at the low-end devices with some special settings for the policies. Faster without the rolling out that release to the production. It will not take a lot of time from your developer to enable that strict mode, but it will give you a really huge benefit. And with strict mode, it will be possible to analyze the logs, ADB logs. Inside of that ADB logs, you will be able to find not critical, but some edge cases, prints about the edge cases related to the performance or some optimizations. Let's move on. Yeah, that issue is only at that strange device. So what we can do with that? A lot of speakers today told you about the cloud test farms. Yes, it's possible to do the cloud testing, but another option is possible to buy a Chinese or Russian device. Yeah, in Russia we have one mobile phone which is developed by a Russian company. Right now it is already a Chinese one, but anyway, it's possible to buy that Russian-Chinese device or just any Chinese device. Because of in a China market, they have their own Android launchers and modified Android kernel, so it might be really interesting for you just to buy a cheap device and test how your application is working in a stress or in a stress environment. It might be a really stress environment for your application. I really like it. The feature available from the Google that it's impossible to roll back your application. We are not in the web development. So when you are not able to roll back it's better for you to follow the CYA tactic and just have ability to start using feature flags to turn it on or turn it off. If you are making a new feature and you are going to roll out it to your production, my suggestion is start rolling it out just for small audience. Don't make it available for everyone. Maybe your users will be saying, hey, I got that feature, and you will have more promotion and less nervous spent because of if you have a problems, it will be possible for you to do not do it in the night because of all user base is affected. And with the first item, it will be possible for you just to turn it off for a few days. Right now, Google gives you ability to make a rollout to the alpha and beta channels. It might be used as well. And don't release on Fridays or without regressions. I was working at Parallels in Moscow. Parallels is a company who is doing a virtualization, run Windows on your Mac. And we had a rule, even not for the production and not for the releases, all commits were closed on Friday because of if anyone wants to make any change on weekend or on Friday, and if he will pull something what was not tested, it may make him sad before his weekend. So save your weekend. Don't release on Fridays. Yeah. I'm originally from Russia, and I understand that except English, there is a lot of language. There are a lot of languages available in the world. So this is word, it's real word, written in Finnish. Finland is close to St. Petersburg, just 2 hours on car in Finland. And after the 2 hours, you can see words like that. Or if you like German movies or German music, this is the German word as well. So if you want to test your application, your layouts in stress mode, and to be sure that, all right, we are working at small devices, is it enough? I think no. It's better for us if we are making a world quality product to test application with alternative locales. It might be related to the measure system. Here in US, you are crazy about foot, miles, gallons. I'm from meters, kilometers, and liters world. So for me, it's still quite challenging to translate from one measurement system to another one. So it might be related not only to the labels, but to the values for the measurement and etc. I think that probably you have something. And the science, you know, that in different countries, people dividing the zeros with different signs, dot or comma, so it is a challenge as well. Try to use another locale, sorry. I really like that thing because of last year I had issue with really great company, big office sizes. I will not give any details. So sometimes when we are integrating something into the mobile application, any third-party framework, it means that probably we have an additional source of the issues. So what I recommend is wrap your dependency with an abstraction, proxy or adapter pattern, as you wish, anyway, and write Mockito tests for the most awkward scenarios. That third party acts like a nut. So in that case, it will be possible for you to be in the situation that third party just started to do not work for some reason. And for the debug build, probably it will be possible and really good to make a dependency injection magic to emulate that broken state. Not only Mockito tests, but the UI and the full application in assembly. So probably you can create a special screen for the quality assurance engineers to turn on and off any features and enable crazy mode for every of the feature. And in that case, it will be really easy for you to predict and emulate awkward situations inside of your application. Let's move on. Yeah, Seems server team rolled out new release. Sometimes when I'm speaking to the developers, they are honestly saying that, hey, I read about die-fast strategy when we are developing software. So if something is wrong, I will just crash my application. No. I was working for a company with a user base about 30 million users a day. And if you follow die-fast strategy, that means that if it is your night in your country, that your boss will call you in the middle of the night and say, hey, Ivan, can you fix it a little bit faster in just 3 hours? Because of 30 million users cannot use that application. So write robust network layer to don't crash every time you face something really strange. So if you see something really strange, show message, something really strange, but do not crash. Another thing, log wrong data. I saw developers which don't like log wrong data to the any analytics tool saying that, hey, we identified that problem, why do we need log something and then analyze it? Guys, it can help you a lot. If you're, for some reason, decided to release on Friday, and then in the end of Shabbat Shalom, someone calls you and saying, hey, I have an issue. And you're thinking, oh my God, I will open my laptop, start to reproduce that issue. But if you have wrong data or something unpredictable logged inside of the analytics, you already have the answers. And it helps you a lot. And that thing is a little bit crazy thing. Make your network config reconfigurable. What does it mean? Super easy thing that it's better for you to be able to configure your application, work against production, staging, and etc. You can implement that with checkboxes, but it's better for you to leave an input field and configure not only at the staging production, but into the some hard-coded and predefined server responses. There are tools which can return trash, return XMLs, HTML instead of expected JSON. So that might be a good thing too. All right, let's proceed. And it's Android, you know. I'm working for Android development for about 8 years. So I saw everything starting from official 1.5 release until the latest 9. And I'm really proud of that I was preparing the first Motorola Android phone back in, I don't remember, 8 years? Well, how many years ago? Maybe 9 years. Oh, maybe I'm working for Android 9 years. So log weird cases into the analytics and monitor it. So when you're doing something, you know, my father was telling me, Ivan, to learn English, you should learn something every day for 5 or 10 minutes. I have a strong Russian accent. I'm sorry about that, but I was trying to follow that tactic, and that's why I'm here in front of you telling you that talk. So if you're doing something, do, but also track and monitor it. Check your application with lack of internet connection and slow internet connection. Here, to emulate such situation in the United States, it's not so hard. You just necessarily go to the subway and you have a slow or bad internet connection. So just go into the really far away into some room inside of the building, and you will be able to emulate slow connection, and you will see a lot of interesting stuff. I'm not saying about the rotate your device. A lot of articles on the internet, how to save the disposable and proceed with RX chain after screen rotation, but not so many people pay attention to the slow internet connection. And also, make your application secure. Don't forget to make a SSL pinning if you're a bank. Make an obfuscation and do some encryption inside of your application, because of that things will make life of hackers hard, and it will be harder for them to do something. Because of if your application acts in a weird way, that means that probably someone made some modifications, and you don't need to spend time. So maybe you can make some checksums and identify that that application is not signed by you, and probably you should try to make more security and improve security at your backend, because of every client application might be broken and reverse engineered. So the latest mile to protect your business is backend. So identify that thing at your backend, analyze it. Try to apply final state machines to do not put up application into wrong state. My education was related to the design and manufacture of special processors for special things. So for 5.5 years, I was studying state machines, schemata, and when you're doing a processor, you don't have hotfix patch or something like that, because of that line at some manufacturer, they will print that processors, and that schemata, it's a lot of money. So I think that every user interface and every application which we are developing might be described as a final state machine, like that graph here. And when you declare something, it's a way to save your states, your events, possible solutions, and use it as a documentation of the project, the expectations from the quality assurance engineer, and the way to implement something by a developer. So final state machines, they're not really popular in modern applications development, but it is the pattern which is a computer science foundation use it. And every processor works with state machines, unfortunately. And use null safe Kotlin. So when I started using Kotlin at projects, sometimes when you're using Kotlin, it looks a little bit weird because of it's a new technology, and people, we don't have proved and a lot of standards and agreements like we have in Java, how to write code in proper way and etc. But Kotlin at least helps you to avoid null pointer exceptions. Let's make some fun with some pictures. So developers are saying that it's necessary to refactor everything from scratch because of our code is like a spaghetti code. So I saw a lot of projects during my life, embedded, web, and everywhere spaghetti present everywhere. Maybe because of everyone loves Italian food, I don't know. What is possible to do with spaghetti? Eat it, or I don't know. What you will propose? So what is the reasoning to refactor? To divide something into the layers, yes? So the way to go out from the spaghetti, go to the lasagna. That phrase is, the author of that phrase is Vladimir Ivanov. Unfortunately, he is not here, but here is his copyright. Thank you, Vladimir. I really like that idea, and I think that it is a good approach. When, all right, you need to refactor something. All right, let's go from spaghetti to lasagna. Let's divide our spaghetti code into the layers, and then try to improve everything day by day, day by day. To do that, you can do any pattern you want. Model view present, MVP, MVI, MVWTF, or MVVM, whatever pattern you will want to use. Let's switch to the non-technical challenges and issues. As I said, I was working as manager as well. So when you're a developer and you're quality assurance engineer, every time your manager goes and say, hey, we don't have room to eliminate tech debt, yes. Let's see how, let's just test somehow you're a professional, just do it, please. Just make everything working somehow, yeah? What we can do is that. Or when we are doing something, sometimes our management goes and saying, hey, something went wrong. Something went wrong with the date, with the release, or just something went wrong. Or could you please work a little bit faster? You know, there is a video with Homer Simpson walking into the nuclear station and asking people to start to work faster, and they are saying, yes, of course, and starting to press the button faster, faster. Oh my God, sorry about that. So let's just talk about the situation when you don't have time to explain, just get into the car. So every project will not have enough time. Reserve your cleanup Mondays. Cleanup Friday is not a good idea because of you may become sad on Friday and ruin your weekend. It's better to start your new life on Monday, and you will have enough room in the end of the week. So just make something for 15 minutes, not for 15, not for 5, but for 5 hours in beginning every week. It will help you a lot. Use tools to prevent issues related to the tech debt. SonarQube may help you a lot. In previous speech from EMPAM employee, Elvin, who was speaking before, he had a slide that describes the real project statistics, how they improved everything. So if you're using SonarQube, it will help you to eliminate the bad practices, complexity, and it will even improve the readability. So when you're integrating any tool, just use it, not as just something which shows you something, but tune it, analyze, and monitor it, and work every day, every Monday to improve that things. Ask management to take tech debt elimination tasks every sprint. Reserve 10 or 20% of your sprint just to rework something. It will help a lot. Let's test somehow. You're a professional, just do it. Yeah, that point. How we can deal with that. Create a test strategy and define a set of guidelines that explains the test design and determines how testing needs to be done. Because of sometimes people do not understand what they should to do. Because of sometimes you are testing the same, actually the same, but in different ways. So with state machines approach, it's possible to just identify the not all set of the scenarios, but set of the criteria and input signals which are necessary to test to identify the problem. Because with all set of states, it's possible to identify the management internal signals which will give you ability to manage your system and test it. And you can use that approach with exploratory testing, and if you will have exploratory testing with do not duplicate test scenarios culture, it will help you a lot. So you can execute different ways to test the same in different times, and it will show you that everything works good or dramatically bad. All right, let's move on. Something went just wrong. You know, I was playing basketball when I was studying at school, and there was a movie, Coach Carter. I don't know, have you seen that movie or not, Coach Carter? Did you saw that? Yeah. So that man, when he just walked into the hall, he said, starting from today, we have rules. When you define rules of the game, that means that everyone understands the rules, and according to the rules, you will reach the goal and achieve it. Maybe it will be a long way to achieve it, but anyway, it will be a direction. Because without direction, without rules, you don't understand what to do. Why that thing appears? That thing appears because of sometimes people do not make release notes. Developer says something somewhere. that specific case is not logged in the Jira comments or somewhere else, and that information stays in the air. It's not documented. So try to make release notes for your releases. Create a release checklist. People make mistakes, not because of they want to do that, because of they are people. And it's easier just to have some instruction checklist to do something. So it might be legacy, privacy, notification of any person in your company that you are making release. And your support guys will not be surprised that you created a new release and rolled out it to the production. And track the release results, because if you're making the tech debt elimination or something like that, you cannot track anything. When anyone will go to you and say, all right, we did something, let's stop that practice. You should show the results, keep track of it, and analyze. And that thing. So have a daily, weekly something release. I was a developer. I develop software, and I still sometimes doing the thing which is like, everything will be ready on Monday, or, I will do it tomorrow morning. Sometimes. I'm not holy man. I'm sorry. Maybe there are a lot of people who are really great and doing everything on time every day from day to day, but sometimes I'm not on time. So it's not about that I'm bad. It's about that it's necessary to face your problems as soon as it's possible. So if you're able to make your delivery faster, just give that piece of software faster and try to use it and to understand something. Monitor everything with dashboards. For the CI/CD, test status, code quality, and etc. So with that visualization, it will be easier for you to track everything. And do not live with flaky tests. Because of that flaky test, they just spend your time. Just say no for them. Otherwise, what they are for? To spend electricity of the, of the server? I don't know. It's better invest that electricity into the Bitcoin mining, or I don't know, another cryptocurrency maybe. And do not skip meetings. So use your retrospectives, use your groomings, use your dailies, use your technical plannings, meetings. Without communication, you will not make good delivery. And do not cut edges. So, every worst scenario and bad thing started with the words, what will happen if I, So don't cut the edges. All right, let's see. Could it work a little bit faster? So eliminate work in progress. I think it's obvious. Create a CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery to test your application and deliver your artifact to the quality assurance team and management team. Use milestones. When people are using Agile, they're saying, hey, I have retrospective, I have planning, I have daily meetings, everything is good. No. In the middle of your sprint, you should have a milestone to check your risks, to check the delivery date. Otherwise, you will be fail. Do not surprise your product manager that you're not on time on demo, saying that, hey, I didn't have enough time, so that's why that feature implemented in that way. Just do measurements in the middle of your sprint. And work with risks in a proactive way. Because of risks, it is the noise which gives you ability to fail. Just do not work with risks. Do not expect risk. Kill it before it will appear. And I am a big fan of a lean framework to do something. So sometimes it's really good to make a feasibility investigation. Is that feature feasible with that design, UI design, technical design, API design, before we will start our sprint. I really like such tasks, to give developer some estimation task for 4 hours just to create a technical design, preview some picture, try to implement something maybe in bad code manner, but try that it is feasible and then start working on it. So my presentation is going to be finished, so recommendations. Use CI/CD pipeline. This is the recommended CI/CD diagram. If you want, I can share another diagrams or approaches how it's possible to do. It's a little bit complex. Use Dogfood and Bugbash. So that thing, and it creates a culture of your team. As I said previously, Coach Carter gave ability for every player in his team understand who everyone is. So with Dogfood, it will be possible for you to create a real team. You will test your product. Maybe you will even try to fix something faster, and it will just make a really good atmosphere, and you will feel that you all are the team members and you're responsible for that product. So do Dogfood and Bugbash. Reserve some time for that. Don't forget about Tres Amigos practice, because of sometimes your teams are distributed. You may have your quality assurance team offshore or your development team offshore. So just make sure that developer, quality assurance engineer, business analyst, or your product manager meets in one place, in one time, and have a productive conversation. It really helps. And try to follow that triangle. So try to make a lot of unit tests and less manual tests. So my last slide, I was thinking what it might be, and I understood that I'm in United States, and here everyone loves acronyms. So I invented that acronym, which is APQC, what is Android Project Quality Criteria. And then I thought that, maybe I will add another few letters, and I will add CL, something like Android Project Quality Criteria Checklist. All right, if I have a checklist, that means that I can measure something. Yeah, really? So I decided to create an APQCCL index, and it is the first day. You are the first guys who see that APQCCL index and how it may look like. So do you remember that my speech was about the quality criteria? And what was the quality criteria? It is something what we can measure. So the next slide is that APQCCL index and criteria. So I decided to outline some of the items which I was talking during my talk here. So it is quite easy survey. Do you have a CI/CD? And you can, in column yes, you can put your 1. And in column no, you are leaving -2. Why? Because it will motivate you to go into the positive. So right now we have 6 ones and 4 -2s, and unfortunately the balance is -2. So this is the APQCCL index and quality criteria for the Android projects. Thank you very much for your attention, and any questions? Yeah?
What are your views on UI automation testing? Because I saw the part where you were talking about flakiness, and that's, in my experience, that has been a challenge.
Yeah.
UI automation testing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You know, everyone at every conference is saying it's necessary to write a lot of tests. It's true. Why tests are flaky? They are flaky because of environment. Why environment is bad? Because of bad internet connection, even testing or staging environment, and maybe some delays somewhere. The UI tests, they're flaky because of that. stuff. So to eliminate the timing issues, I was, at one of the slides, I was showing you not test against the test or staging or production environment, but you can create your own server, which will return you hard-coded responses. There are some services and tools which will return just in a stupid way, in a super stupid way, just return some stuff. And in that case, this is the option to make your tests more stable, but don't make them flaky. Also, with Android architecture, you are able to test your presenters or whatever, or controller as you wish, anything. With Makita, just to make a step for the model, for the networking, and test that all necessary calls are passed to the UI. With that approach, we lose the UI tests. But with that architectural approach, it's possible for us create a straightforward UI components, stupid views, which will be easy to test with just standard Android instrumentation, that you are leaving something in some text field, or you have an interface for your view, and you pass your model, and then you test that that custom view displays the data you passed there. I was working for last 8 months, not 8, I think 4, sorry, yeah, 4 months for the Android TV projects, and we were testing our presenters with Makita and interface stabbing. For UI, we created, for some views, we created a stupid view test that we pass model, and that model is displayed. You can say that, hey, Ivan, it's BS because of at Android TV we have a remote control. If you're interested, I can share the link to the article of our employee at EPAM who made UI automation for the Fire TV project with emulation for the button press events. So it absolutely emulates it. So the answer for your question is try to use proper architecture, try to use good environment inside of your test lab. Any other question? No? So,
I have a question.
oh, sure.
So, do you have any strategies for like requiring unit test compliance with like GitHub or anything? Like, I've been looking at trying to find a strategy for when somebody pushes something to GitHub, it is already compliant. Like we run our unit tests and make sure that we're 100% complete with it before we go.
Yeah. So it is about the CI and CD pipeline. So it's possible to configure your environment and configure your CI/CD pipeline. I would maybe go a little bit in another direction, but I will say that probably to make your unit tests more effective, it's better to give ability for developer and quality assurance engineer to talk and discuss what may appear there. And all developers, they are like small boys who are trying to explore something, to create something, but they don't want to destroy something. The guys who are making quality assurance, they are great destroyers. So that two kids may make a really good progress and increment for the quality. I think that one of the things is that at least you can post a message into your Slack or HipChat. Oh, HipChat is not will not be anymore because of Slack acquires them, but it's possible to post any message that that build was failed. Do not make that build success if that tests failed, and do not create a rule in your team that if unit tests did not pass, that means that that PR is bad. You will not merge it. So keep your branches, your dev or your release branch always in green state. So everything should be in ready state, in ready-to-use state. So do not ignore the unit tests and test any test results. Anything else? All right, thank you very much.